Hey, all my Crimsonites, and welcome to the Crimson Cure channel, where we embrace our femininity, increase our womanly value, and celebrate our brothers. So join me on our feminine journey to learn, heal, and grow. Hey there, everybody. How we doing? You'll notice that we started later on purpose because it's Ramadan, and I choose to break fast and make prayer before. So I'm going to pause it in about 15 minutes as well, or in a few minutes rather. But this concept that no more happy wife, happy life, right? But what I really wanted to talk about was the concept of whether or not a husband should ever be concerned about his wife's happiness. Because that's a sentiment that I'm seeing more and more being stated. And I kind of wanted to explore that because I have two views on it, or rather I have balance about it. So when I hear a woman's happiness is not, basically it's not her husband's responsibility. How many of you agree with that? That a wife's happiness is not her husband's responsibility? Put a 1 for it is his responsibility. Put a 2 for no, it's not his responsibility. Okay. Not his. A bunch of 2s. It's not his responsibility. Okay. Now, I want to explore what that means. What does that mean? Not his responsibility. Is a wife responsible for her husband's happiness? Okay. Okay. I see the answers. Everybody has really good answers. There are 2 levels to this. A person's internal happiness and a person's happiness within the relationship. And I think those 2 things get conflated. And that's what I want to talk about. There is, and before we really get off on the deep end, let's really talk about happiness. I don't mean, when I say happiness, I'm more so saying contentment. Nobody's happy all the time. Happy is a feeling. When I'm talking about it, to be more pointed, I'm saying a sense of peace and contentment within oneself. That is the responsibility of each individual. So, for instance, if you meet a person that is suffering from depression, there's nothing that you are going to be able to do, or anybody else is going to be able to do about that person's depression and their symptoms and how those things affect them and how they respond in life because of it. There's no amount, because it's something that comes from within them, the depressed person. No external person is going to be able to make that depressed person see themselves differently or respond differently to themselves and to others. So when we talk about my own personal peace and contentment, no, that is not other people's responsibility. It is my responsibility to address, see to, be concerned about myself. Anything going on within me that is preventing me from having a sense of personal peace and a sense of contentment within myself, within my life, and things of that nature, to have a good relationship with myself. That's my job. Okay, that's my job. And someone else can't do that job for me. And this goes for every single individual on the planet Earth. No one can do that job for you. You have to do that job for yourself. Give me 1 second. I told you I was going to pause it. Give me a second. I'll be right back. My apologies. Thank you guys for Ramadan Kareem. Thank you, Pharaoh, and thank you, Ramadan Kareem. Brothers, may Allah accept our fast and accept our ibadat and spare us from the fires of Jahannam and grant us paradise, inshallah. Ameen. Thank you, Dr. Steele. So happiness is supposed to come from within you. Anybody who comes into your life can either extend your happiness or interfere with it. Precisely. Excuse me. So, as I was saying, your personal contentment is your sole responsibility. You have a responsibility to have a good relationship with yourself. In that regard, no one, not a spouse, not a husband, not a wife, not children, no one else is ever responsible for that happiness or that contentment or peace, because that is something that's inside of you or it's not inside of you. And I seen my brother Kasim in here. How you doing, Kasim? Now, I think sometimes that concept gets conflated with the concept that a spouse's happiness is not your responsibility in a relationship. See, that's different. That's different. My self-contentment and my contentment in this relationship with you, two different things. That's two different things. For that, a spouse should always be concerned with the contentment of the other person in the relationship. Your self-contentment, peace, inner peace, and all that kind of stuff, that's your business. That has to persist inside or outside of a relationship. Whether you're married or not, that's your business. But once you come into a marriage, your spouse's contentment within the relationship, absolutely your business. That's your business. Likewise, your contentment in the relationship is their business. And I think those two kinds of happiness or senses of contentment get conflated in a way that makes it seem like when you're in a relationship, you don't have to worry about the other person's experience of you in this relationship. That's their problem. If they don't like the relationship, if they don't like what's going on in it, if they don't like how you treat them, if they don't like what's happening, then, whatever. That's why I'm saying it's two different things. Because my self-contentment and whether or not I'm content in this relationship, that's separate. And I think that we lose a lot of sight of that because we're so eager to be in relationships where we don't got to do nothing and it sustains itself. We like to be in relationships. We like to be married to one another. But somehow, some way, we think that our actions within this relationship, the actions that we take, things that we do, the other person is like it or lump it. And there's this concept where no one has to conform in any way, or not even conform, but make the concession with their partner. You understand what I mean? You don't have to change your core personality, but behaviors, that's one of the functions of a relationship. It checks the behaviors. Because one person might be entering into this marriage and you're selfish and you don't really know it until you enter into a marriage and and that selfishness pop up. You thought you was cool until other people were relying on you to behave a certain kind of way and you couldn't do it. We have to dig deeper than the surface things, because those things aren't the things that necessarily make marriages work. For the women, cooking, cleaning, saying nice things to your husband and having sex with him, that is not the be all end all. That's like wife preschool. Because you could be doing all of that and not showing up well in this marriage. For men, going to work, put money down on these bills, okay, and trying to provide, and just because you got a stable job, that is preschool husband. That's preschool husband, because men that's not husbands do that. Women that's not wives clean up and cook something. That doesn't mean that you're showing up in this marriage properly just because you got a job and you pay something. That's called adult 101. So somebody getting together and saying, well, he pay this and pay that and he work. She may work and she do the housework. Why come their marriage don't work? Because it takes so much more than that to actually make a marriage work. I talk a lot about alignment of values. But before anybody can get to alignment of values, most people don't have values. We getting down to the nitty gritty why these relationships can't work. It's not about stats. It's not about none of this other stuff for real. Like it is, but it's deeper. It's about a feminist mindset, but it's deeper. It's about, you know what I'm saying, all being raised in a single parent and the dysfunction. It's about that, but it's deeper than that. So much deeper than that. Most people, the vast majority of people, do not have any values, no core principles, and no foundation for their life. They float through their life, and everything they do, they float through it. Tell me I'm lying. Tell me I'm lying. How many times have we heard people talk about their relationships, but when you discuss the beginning of the relationship, how did this even come about? Like more than 80% of the time, there was no conversation. There was no intention. There was no specific thing that went on. We just happen to be together. Sometimes we happen to live together, and God forbid, we just happen to have kids together. And ain't nobody had not one conversation. Nobody has talked about what they wanted because they didn't know what they wanted. They didn't solidify what they wanted. They couldn't tell you what they wanted or how they wanted it done or nothing like that. We just with somebody just to say we with somebody, and then we get mad when those relationships don't live up to this sense of what we got in our head about what a traditional marriage is supposed to be and how people supposed to act, how a man is supposed to act in a relationship, how is a woman supposed to act in a relationship. We got all these ideas, but we don't talk about those ideas, and literally we don't live by them. We don't have no principles. No principles. Most people float through life with no purposes. They get up in the morning. They may or may not have a job to go to. So if you got a job, you get up in the morning or whenever your job starts, and you go to that. You might have you a couple of friends you hang with, maybe not. You know, you got you a few TV shows that you like to watch, whatever. Maybe you drink or smoke, maybe you don't. And just whatever. And you might be somewhere, you get to talking to a guy or you get to talking to a woman, and you're vibing. Everybody want to catch a vibe. Everybody want to vibe. No substance. Everybody want to vibe out. And then we vibe our way into sex with people. We don't really know them. Unprotected sex, mind you, there are no birth controls, condoms, or self-control at all. Sliding in raw. It could be transactional, whatever. Next thing you know, this is why they call them situationships. This is why they call them situationships, because it's just a situation that you find yourself in. It wasn't even nothing that you intended to do. There was no prior thought to this. There was no preconceived plan that went into anything. You just hear, he here, she here, y'all here, boom, we here. Most of the people on social media that's talking crazy about relationships, the men and the women, I'm about to make somebody mad. The men and the women ain't never even been in a relationship. Boom, there I said it. Just because y'all was screwing on each other, what that mean? Just because y'all got a kid or two, what that mean? What that meant? It used to mean something. It don't mean nothing no more. Most folk ain't never even been in a relationship. They talking crazy based on all these little crazy situationships they been in and out of. Of course you didn't get what you thought you was quote unquote supposed to get out of a relationship. Name me 5 things you think you supposed to get out of a relationship for real. And if you thought that you were supposed to get particular things out of a relationship, why didn't you move with more intention? That go for the men and the women. Because the women are out here not moving with no intention. Y'all come through, you open your legs for anybody, you have babies for them. That's the thing to get me. Y'all will move in with these men. Y'all have one quick little conversation, and then boom, y'all be living together. How you living together with somebody that you don't even have deep conversations with to plan nothing? How you move with somebody so y'all can be in-house sex with each other? That's what old folks call shacking up. Wasn't no plan to it. You just want to be in-house sex. You just don't want to have to call and go to the other one and go here and there. Once you move, the reason I be telling women don't be moving in with no man that's not your husband is because when you move in, you're going to start playing house with each other. You're going to start playing house with each other. You're going to play house with each other. Play house. You're going to start wanting certain things from this man when you are in the house with him. You're going to start wanting certain things from this woman that's in this house with you. Now, ain't nobody said nothing about marriages, commitments, had no talk. You're going to want that woman to clean up, cook, and do wife things. You're going to want this woman to be a wife in this house. You're going to want this man to be a husband in this house. And ain't nobody married. And when I say married, I ain't talking about that paper. Not one time have you sat down with each other and said, what are we doing? What are we doing for real? Everybody make up a narrative in their head about it. You might have 1 or 2 little conversations where you dip and dab. Nobody has any real thing. And then based on the non-answers or the half answers that y'all give each other, then you make an assumption about what is supposed to now happen. It blows my mind. It blows my mind. How is it that we want all of these godly outcomes? And when I say godly outcomes, I mean we want the behavior of husband and wife from one another. And these are positions defined and declared by the Most High to be what they are. They have specific duties and definitions and connotations and expectations about what you're supposed to do when you're in the position of husband, what you're supposed to do when you are in the position of wife. And somehow we want that, but we want to ease into it and vibe into it as a situationship without having any meaningful communication at all about what are we doing. Everybody avoids it. Everybody avoids that conversation. The women don't want to ask, what are we, to the man, because somehow that has been made fun of and made shame of when women ask that. But the only reason that she would be asking that is because she either wants it to be something or the conversation just never happened, but something happening and it's undefined. The dudes are saying, well, I never said I was your man. Well, you never said it, but you moved me into your house. And a lot of the time, it be the dude's idea for the woman to move in. I'm telling you what I know. When all the while, like, we ain't really, we don't have good relationship experiences because not only as a group of people do we not know how to conduct a marriage, we don't even know how to start a relationship. I'm going to let you marinate on that. After these messages, we'll be right back. Because we need everybody to hit the link at the top of the chat, ashkicking.com. Go and get you some of the best body butter on the market. I'm telling you what I know, not what I heard. If you want to keep your skin looking and feeling its absolute best, look no further than ashkicking.com. The link is pinned to the top of the chat. If it's going to be your first time ordering, please take advantage of the 10% discount using the promo code Crimson at checkout. Once again, that is ashkicking.com, and the link is pinned to the top of the chat. I owe you guys a bam, 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 bam. You got to hit the like button. Bam, bam. You got to Go ahead and hit the like button. Thank you, Mogul, for your contribution. Thank you so much, sweetheart. Thank you, Kisei. That sounds like no purpose values equal confusion. That's exactly what it equals. Chaos and confusion. Thank you, Lucid Experience. I know a lady who has a daughter now because she slept with a man after knowing him for only 2 weeks. Should have seen her face when she found out he was married and when he didn't sign the birth certificate. See, it's that type of stuff. Not only do we not know how to conduct a marriage, we do not even know how to begin a proper relationship. We don't know how to do that. We don't know how to do that. It has devolved so low from hookup culture and date culture and stuff like that. It has devolved so low that we do not even know how to begin the relationship, let alone maintain it. How you supposed to maintain a relationship you don't know how to start it? It start crazy. What happened to the concept of foundations? What am I building something on? And this goes back to the concept that I was talking about earlier about people not having values, no core principles, nothing that solidifies me in my life and informs me of what I need to do. How do I need to conduct myself in any situation? Just floating through life with no vision, no purpose, nothing. You just float aimlessly. You let the tide take you wherever it takes you. You let life take you wherever it takes you. And you are a passive bystander in your own life. You don't take it by the reins, and you don't even try to direct your life in any particular direction. And the reason you don't do that is because you don't have a particular direction that you're going into. So everything that you do in your life don't got no foundation, and when things don't have foundation, they don't have stability. When things lack a foundation, they don't have stability. You got to have stability. That would indicate a foundation. You can't build no house without a foundation because there'll be no stability. Nothing to put the wall on. Nothing to lay the floor on. What you doing? What are we doing? You know, they used to call them shanties when they didn't have no real foundation. And you know what? A shanty is easy to tear it up. Easy to knock the wall down and just knock it over, you know. Even a tent got a couple of pegs that you're supposed to put down. Even something so flimsy as a tent got one or two little strings and one or two little pegs that you're supposed to put down. You didn't even do that. No foundation in your life. So how you supposed to have a relationship with a foundation in it? And how is that relationship supposed to have stability in it when there's no defined terms, there's no structure, there's no mutual understanding between the two of you about what this is supposed to be and what the point is and what the goal is and what we doing here? We just want outcomes, but we don't want to do no work for them. We want all these wonderful, blissful marriages without getting married. We want marriages without getting married. We want marriages without communicating with the individual that we want the marriage with. We want marriages without setting any terms, goals, structure, or overview. Nothing. We don't even so much as make an outline. We want relationships and wonderful marriages without even conforming to what a husband and a wife actually is and what they do. And we don't want, and last but not least, we want effective, wonderful marriages, but we don't want to be concerned with the other person and what they're going through. We don't want the work of being concerned about this person and this person's well-being and what's going on with them. We don't want the work of that. That's too much work. Because that's the actual work of marriage. The actual work of marriage is to be consistently concerned with the well-being and the experience of your spouse in this marriage, not yourself, your spouse. And you have a functioning marriage when both of you think that way, not just one of you. So it can't work one way. The wife can't be the only one concerned with the husband and he's not concerned. The husband can't be the only one concerned with the wife and she's not concerned. We don't even want to do what it takes to make sure that our spouse knows what it is that we actually even need out of the relationship so that they can supply it. Or to tell them what we need out of a relationship so that they can determine whether or not they can supply that thing. How they supposed to see to your needs, but you don't bother to tell them what your needs are? You just want them to mind read. Nobody's a mind reader. Women get ridiculed for wanting men to read their minds, and rightfully so. Men are not mind readers. Nobody's trying to just wing it to figure out what it is that you want and need out of this relationship, but you never open your mouth and you never express it in any kind of way. The same works the other way. Because sometimes I see when men say, I shouldn't have to teach you how to be in this relationship. And there's levels to that. Because when we're talking about a healthy relationship where everybody is fulfilling the role that they're supposed to fulfill, a wife comes to her husband with the tools to be a wife. Follow me. A wife comes to her husband with the tools to be a wife, with a base understanding of some of the things that she's supposed to do and some of the things that she's not supposed to do. It is a husband's job to teach her how to use the tools in the best way that supports him as the leader and as the husband. She has the tools, but you got to tell her how to use them for you. You don't want her trying to do plumbing with a hammer in her hand. It is absolutely the husband's leadership position. That's your leadership. You're giving her direction. You're giving her the structure that she needs to work in. And you're telling her the work she needs to do for you. This is how you be my wife. You absolutely do have to teach her that. This is how you are my wife. And this is how you be my wife. These are the things that you can do that best supports me. Because my needs are this, this, this. And I believe through the vetting and courtship process that you are the woman that can do these things. And I'm going to have to give you a little direction on how to do it. That would be part of leadership. You cannot expect her to come in and you don't say nothing and she's supposed to just know exactly what your needs are and how to fulfill them. Nobody works like that. Nobody operates like that. If you are a contractor and you have a job to do, they want you to come remodel half the house. You can't just go in there and remodel it. You got the tools. You got the know-how. You know how to remodel things. But they got to tell you, we need that wall knocked down and we need to extend it back like that. And then I want like a closet right here. We got enough room for that. We can just make a thing right here and we can. They got to tell you what to do with the tool that you have. They hired you because they know you can do it. But you just can't walk in and just do whatever. You got to do the thing that they want you to do that helps them. You don't just pick a site and build a skyscraper. You got to have an architect to tell you what the schematics are, how big this supposed to be, how wide the footprint is, what kind of foundation it is, how tall this building going to be. We need to know what kind of materials it's going to be made out of. And again, you can't just come in and start doing stuff where you know what I'm saying, you a contractor and an engineer. You should both be able to know how to do it. What? Really? A mechanic know how to fix the car too, but you don't just roll your car in and don't say nothing. And he just figure out what's going on with your car. No. Tell me, it's making noise or what does it do? Why'd you bring this car to me? Because what you want me to do with it? What is it doing? Did it stop? Did you have to tow it in? Or you don't really know what's wrong with it? Well, tell me the circumstance why it stopped. You may not know exactly what's going on with it, but tell me what happened. You got in it this morning and it wouldn't start. Well, did it make any noise? No, it was clicking. Okay, it was clicking. Okay. Did it start yesterday? Yeah, it was all right yesterday. Blah, blah. You got to say something. You got to say something. You got to say something. You can't just go in a mechanic and then look at him and then y'all just look at the car and look at each other. What is he supposed to do with that? Well, you the mechanic, you supposed to know how to fix it. I do know how to fix it, but you got to tell me what to fix. I have you in here paying $10,000. You'll pay more than you pay for the car for all the stuff I'm going to do to it. You better tell me what's wrong with it. I'm liable to tell you that your windshield need brake calipers on it. Don't get me started. You better tell me what's wrong. You understand what I'm saying? So it is absolutely a husband's job. That's the work of a husband. A husband brings order to her. This is how you support me as the wife. This is what I need from you. I need these things from you. I need this from you. I need that from you. Similarly, she's supposed to tell her husband what she needs out of this relationship. Do not just leave it up to him to figure it out. Nobody's trying to figure it out. This works a lot more efficiently when we can have communication. And that is why people always say that the death of marriages is bad communication. More than 90% of the time. And that is true. People, when they don't know how to communicate with each other. Okay. And it's not just talking, it's all the communications. It's the body language. It's the nonverbal. It's all of it. Lots of different ways that we shut communication down in our relationships. The other person don't feel safe to tell us anything or talk to us about anything or bring any concern. I'm going to tell you one of the key ways that we block communication in our marriages and relationships. Defensiveness. Always defensive. And the bad reaction. The bad reaction. And a defensive reaction can be a bad one, a bad reaction. When your spouse tries to talk to you about anything that they are concerned with, most people react defensively instead of trying to hear what their spouse is telling them. They be ready to not be wrong in the situation. Boom, you just torpedoed the communication. You torpedoed it. Because you so ready to not be wrong. You so ready for it to not be your fault. You so ready to not be responsible for whatever it is. You so ready to not take the accountability for that you will defend yourself and ain't nobody attacked you. Every time your spouse brings something up, you, what is it? See, I don't want to talk to you. Why I want to talk? Just forget it. Nah, well, go ahead. No. I'm not going to go ahead. And the majority of people do this. Majority of people do this. The vast majority of people, very defensive. Even in functional relationships, you got to watch it. The husbands and wives in functional relationships, every once in a while, they got to catch themselves, or the spouse got to tell them, you we also invalidate each other's feelings. And not so much invalidate each other's feelings, we invalidate each other's experiences of us. If our spouse tell us that they did not have a good experience of us, even in a specific way, not even just in totality, but specifically in this instance with this thing, you know, this was not a good experience, however they put it. And we'll be like, man, you make a big deal out of everything. You just do everything. I can't say nothing. And it's like, you really gotta watch it when you got a spouse that don't complain much. If you got a spouse that don't say a lot about what they don't like and this and that, and then they come to you that one time and be like, I don't really like that, and that's your response, it be disappointing. Because like I don't even really say a lot. And the one time I wanted to say this, like, really? So you act like I just bother you all the time. You know what? And that's when you get people to shut off. That's when you get people shutting down. Because I can't even come to you once every blue moon and say nothing. You got to be able to take the criticism. It don't feel good. And your first instinct is to defend, like, well, no, well, I didn't mean it like that. And I'm, you know, you gotta start just taking it. And this go for the men and the women. Just take that. Hear the person. Really try to hear what they really saying. Then you'll be able to discern whether they on some BS or whether they really saying something. This is why it's important to talk when you're not mad. Because when people get mad, they can't hear nothing. It's hard to hear when you upset. And you got to verbalize stuff. I'm not attacking you. I'm not saying you're bad. I'm not, like, you got to verbalize that. Please listen. I'm not trying to say you are a bad husband or nothing like that. You know, I'm just saying in this particular instance, that's a good one. Writing down questions and points as the other person is talking, and ask clarifying questions. Try to be clear, because we always are going to do this. We're gonna hear it with feelings first. Everybody's gonna hear it with their feelings first. The key, though, is not to react on that first initial emotional, like, because that's where we get the defense from. You see what I'm saying? Because we gonna do this. This is inevitable. But we gotta not do the first knee jerk. You know what I mean? Try to hear the person. Don't try to correct them before they get their point out. You know what I'm saying? Try to, overcorrect and try to say what you meant and say what you, that's one way to invalidate somebody's experience. Instead of apologizing for the impact, we start trying to explain how we didn't mean it that way. And sometimes that does not go the way that we think that's gonna go. Stop trying to explain. I had to learn this one. I had to, because that's another defense. I was bad with this one. Trying to explain how you didn't mean to do or say a particular thing. It is unimportant. That person's experience, the impact that you had, is the impact that you had. And it was negative. And it doesn't matter what you meant to do. It only matters what happened. What happened? They felt it a certain kind of way. Whether you meant to deliver it that way or you meant the thing that they felt, or it does not matter that you didn't quote unquote mean it. Acknowledge the impact you had on them. They didn't like it. Your husband didn't like it. Your wife didn't like it. That's the key. Apologize for that part. Maybe later on in a different conversation, or if they ask, you can then explain your line of thinking or your intent. But the acknowledgement is the acknowledgement of the impact that you had on your spouse. They did not like it. Whatever it was, whether you thought it was big or small. That's the apology. I'm apologizing for making you feel this way. Not, I'm sorry you feel that way. That's backhanded. I apologize for making you feel that way. Take the accountability. It was something I did or said that's got you feeling away. Whether you understand the logic of it, don't agree, it doesn't matter. In that particular instance, it is irrelevant. Thank you, Pharaoh. So this is why make a foundation and stability at a suit wearer, gentleman, knowing I'm not the sharpest knife, but now all I need is my passport and degree. Thank you, Luciana. So did you see Kendra's response? Yes. And I was going to talk about, I'm glad y'all brought it up. I'll talk about it. We'll talk about that Wednesday, hopefully. It was damage control. Like, girl. Thank you once again, Pharaoh. So you got to get this conversation strategy title. It can compete with sign language. Can you do a video on that? With the defensiveness, you mean? I probably can think of some things. But I just wanted to come and talk about this with you guys today. Probably for the duration maybe of the month. I'm not sure. It depends because the times change. But my show for Ramadan is probably going to be later than 5:30. So I'm probably going to start these shows at about 6:15-ish. Okay. And that's just going to be my Ramadan schedule. Once Ramadan is over and things of that nature, we can go back to the 5:30 Eastern time schedule, the original schedule. But if I start moving around the live stream, that's why. Okay. All right. Jump down in the comment section. Let me know what you think. Like, share, subscribe to the channel if you have not. Once again, I'm your host, the Crimson Cure, and this was my perspective. Bye-bye, Crimsonites.